Greetings, film fanatics. Filmholmes here, and welcome to another rendition of Too Many Movies. Now, I've been asked a couple times now because I've been reviewing a lot of movies in my collection, some that I've seen a million times, a few that I've watched for the first time, but somebody asked me the other day, what is your all-time favorite movie? I have thousands of movies in my collection. I love so many. Do you actually have, the question was, a favorite movie? And even though I love hundreds of movies and I own thousands, I do have two that are my favorites, that are still my favorites, and so far have not been topped. But there has to be two, because one is drama, which is the movie I'm going to talk about here, and in the next video, it'll be my favorite comedy. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say I'm doing that one second because comedy is my favorite genre of film. I love comedy, I love studying comedy, I like being funny as much as I can be, and that's my favorite. But for my favorite dramatic movie, that's the one I'm talking about today. And it is none other than the film that was kind of a flop in 1944, got nominated for a bunch of Oscars, didn't win any, and then found a second life in the, at the time, VHS and eventually DVD and Blu-ray market, and became one of the most beloved movies of all time, and that is The Shawshank Redemption. So Shawshank Redemption, The Shawshank Redemption, is written and directed by Frank Darabont, sorry. He also helped create The Walking Dead, but he was only there for about one season, which is unfortunate. He also did The Green Mile, and these are both Stephen King adaptations, Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption. Both brilliant movies. Maybe one day I'll do Green Mile in here as well. I love that movie as well. But The Shawshank Redemption, I realized years ago, probably about 2 or 3 years ago, that it is my favorite dramatic movie and one of my two favorite movies of all time. Now, quickly, if you don't know the plot to it, if you don't, you're really not into film at all. But Andy Dufresne, played by Tim Robbins, is, and this happens at the beginning of the movie, again, I don't do spoilers on this show, I try not to, even if they're old movies, because I want people to go and watch them if you haven't. But Andy Dufresne, played by Tim Robbins, is found guilty of murdering his wife and her lover. She was cheating on him. He is sent to Shawshank Prison. He's a new inmate along with some other ones, and we get to see kind of what's inside the confines of this Shawshank Penitentiary. He befriends Red, played by Morgan Freeman, and they become really, really good friends. And that's basically the story. There are some other things that happen that I don't want to ruin it. And it's about Andy Dufresne, his time at Shawshank Prison. The story, it has so many elements to it. It's the poster, which I'm looking at right now, it's right by my bed, is "Fear can hold you prisoner, hope can set you free." And eventually in the film, Andy Dufresne talks about hope, and Red takes umbrage to that, because Red is probably going to be there the rest of his life, and Andy's probably going to be there the rest of his life too. And hope is a dangerous thing. It can get you killed, it can drive you to insanity, which it kind of can, whether you're in prison or not. But Andy is still clinging to hope that he's going to one day get out of Shawshank. And, you know, he changes Red over the course of the movie. And it is such a beautiful movie. I mean, let's go and get this out of the way. The script, as tight as could be, especially since it's based off of a short story. Rita Hayworth, I believe, and The Shawshank Redemption. It's just a short story by Stephen King. And what Frank Darabont did to turn this into a over 2 hour movie is wonderful. It shows how great of a writer he is. Every scene means something. Every character means something. There's nothing to throw away from this film at all. And, you know, I thought the casting was perfect. People get on Tim Robbins sometimes. He's an Oscar winner, but in some movies, you know, especially this one, he was kind of criticized for kind of being a robot. But did you guys not understand? That's Andy Dufresne. He's real laid back, and he's kind of robotic. That was the character. And I thought he played it wonderfully. And we sympathized with Andy, because even though he was convicted of this heinous crime, we can identify with him. and we still just cling to the hope that maybe he didn't do it, because it's not really made clear until about an hour and a half in whether or not Andy Dufresne did murder his wife and her lover. You do find out, but for the most of the film you don't know, and eventually you just forget, you don't care. Red is guilty. Most people in Shawshank, they'll say something like, "Lawyer, fuck me." They won't admit they did it. And Red says, "I'm the only guilty man in Shawshank," which I love that line. And he did murder somebody. And it's all about his redemption as well. I mean, it's the Shawshank Redemption. That's what this movie is about, redemption. For Andy and Red. For them to become better people, become better men, and hopefully one day, get the hell out of Shawshank Prison and actually live a life. And there's so much in this film, there's so many themes, and it's just, but it's the script is solid as hell. One of the best film scripts ever conceived and written. It's directed, oh my god, it's wonderful to look at. It is a phenomenal piece of directing work. The acting, all of it, pitch perfect. The editing is solid, really well done. So let's get past that. I give all that just high marks. But why is Shawshank Redemption my favorite movie? My favorite dramatic movie? I thought about it for a really long time. And for me, what makes a movie my favorite movie is how many times I can rewatch it. And Shawshank Redemption has become a movie that I could watch any day of the week, any hour of the day, any time of year. And I can watch it like I'm watching it for the first time. I know the movie from the very beginning to the very end. I know it from top to bottom, from bottom to top. And I still enjoy it like it's my first time seeing it. That's why. And that's why the comedy I'll do in my next video is also my favorite comedy. Or my other favorite movie. Same reason, but I'll get to that. I rewatched this the other night. I thought, well, if I'm going to do this on too many movies, I wanted to rewatch it. And I had the time, and I did because I wanted to. And again, I didn't even pause the movie. I had to pee really bad, once the movie was over, but I didn't even pause it to go to the bathroom. And I'm at home, I'm not at the theater, because I get that into the movie. I get into the dialogue. I get into the characters. I get into the scenery. There's so many classic scenes of Andy Dufresne up on the roof with all of his friends, and they're working on the roof, and when Andy almost gets thrown off by the evil prison guard, there's an evil prison guard in this, or he's not evil, he's just a dick, but that whole scene, and when Andy first comes to prison and all the new inmates are walked into the prison bare-ass naked, their first night, still covered in that delousing shit, and the whole place is going fresh, 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 fish, trying to get one of them to break, and the one guy does break, and unfortunately it doesn't end well for him. And the warden in this is such an evil piece of shit, and I love the actor that plays him. I can't think of him, I'm sorry. Again, the casting is just, it's delicious. And Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins have such a bond. You could feel their friendship. You could tell that they really loved each other in real life, but also these characters in the movie. The scene towards the end or not towards the end, but close to the end, where Andy is really about to break. A lot of bad shit's happening. It's a wonderful shot of him by himself next to one of the Shawshank prison walls, and Red comes up and they have this long conversation. I could name like every scene in the movie as being one of my favorite scenes. It's a 2 hour and 20 minute movie, and I can name like every fucking scene as being my favorite because I love this movie so much, and I can rewatch it anytime. And most people watching this have probably seen this movie, and some people may not see what I see, and that's fine. But no matter what, I always enjoy watching this, whether it's by myself or with people. And really, it has, I think, one of the most satisfying conclusions in movie history. And it's cheesy in a way, but it's cheesy in the right way. It's like really good macaroni and cheese. It's not overly cheesy, it's not cheesy enough, it's just right. And I can't ruin it. I don't want to ruin it. But when it gets to the point where you basically find out what happens to Andy Dufresne, it is so satisfying. And that how smart he is, and this plan that he concocted and how long it took and what happens to the not so great people in the movie. It is so satisfying. And then Red's story also being very satisfying. And the conclusion of the movie is just, it's like you just can't take anymore of how awesome this movie is, and it ends just on the right note. And the music too in this movie. I have the soundtrack on my phone to this. It is one of my favorite soundtracks. It is a joy to listen to, and I don't have any complaints with this movie. To me, it is about, there's no such thing as a perfect movie, but it's as close as you can fucking get. And that is impossible to do, but it really is. The story, the characters, the setting, you stay with it from beginning to end. You will not leave your seat if you've never seen it, because it's just fun to watch, even during the really tough times. I mean, there are what are called in the movie, they're called bull queers, and they take by force in prison. They basically rape men to get what they want, which is an orgasm. And Andy has to deal with them. And his first couple years in Shawshank is a nightmare. He gets the shit beat out of him, and he gets raped. And they never show it. It's not like the show Oz was on HBO. You don't see that stuff. But you know what happens, and you feel for him, and you fucking hate those guys that do it. And, when Andy finally gets some luck and starts changing his ways throughout the years and what he does to stay busy, and he wants to build a library, a better one for Shawshank Prison, and the things he does shows how good of a man he is. And we see how good of a man Red is, and we love the side characters. We don't see a lot of them, but what we do, we like them as well, even though they're prisoners. And it's just, it has a charm and a love to it. You could tell while they made this, they knew they were making something special. And that's what this movie is. It is special. This is going to come as no surprise. I'll go ahead and say it. Shawshank Redemption, my favorite dramatic film of all time. 5 out of 5. That's probably goes without fucking saying. 5 out of 5. If you have not seen this movie, it is not expensive to buy at all. I mean, you can get it on DVD. I finally bought it on Blu-ray just because it's one of my favorite movies. Why would I not want it in the best quality possible? And it actually has a lot of great documentaries and extras on this. Light shining off of it, sorry. But the Blu-ray, I think I got this for like $6 on Amazon. It's not an expensive movie. So, get it. It is wonderful. It is just one of the greatest films ever made. It really is. It's my favorite movie. I think it's, I want to say top 10, but there's so many just groundbreaking movies. I would say at least top 20. This is one of the top 20 greatest films ever made. And I think a lot of people wanted to become filmmakers because of something like this. And I don't think I'm out of line saying that. It was one of my inspirations. So Shawshank Redemption, The Shawshank Redemption, whatever. It's a shame that when it came out in '94, it was critically praised. The audience just didn't really seem to react to it as much. The people that saw it loved it, but it was kind of the year of Forrest Gump. And Forrest Gump had everything. Shawshank, had a little bit of comedy, but it was mainly a pretty dark movie. Dramatic-wise, Forrest Gump had a lot of light to it, so Forrest Gump, and that was just a huge phenomenon of a movie. And Shawshank was never going to be that. It was kind of going to be like when The Wizard of Oz came out. It wasn't a huge hit at all, but over the years, or like Princess Bride or It's a Wonderful Life, it found its audience, and is now regarded as one of the greatest pieces of film ever in history. And sometimes that's just how it goes. But I'm so happy they made this, and if they ever try to remake this, I'm going to kidnap whoever's trying to remake it, and I will talk him out of it. There will probably be violence, because there are some movies that should just never be remade. Hopefully this is one of them. I know that's random to bring up, but they're remaking fucking everything nowadays. Do not remake my favorite movies, which... Actually, there is a reason I brought it up. I just realized why it's on my brain, because the next movie I'm going to review, my all-time favorite comedy, was fucking remade, and I never saw the remake. I refuse to. I never want to. But don't do it to my Shawshank, please. But that was Shawshank Redemption. Please, whether you rent it or you buy it, you will not be disappointed. 5 out of 5, my favorite dramatic film of all time. In the next video, I will talk about my favorite comedy of all time. Fuck it, you're gonna have to just watch it and see what it is. So, I'm Filmholmes, this was Too Many Movies, thank you for watching, and as you can see, I got more shit I gotta watch. Tune in for the next one to find out my all-time favorite comedy movie. Take care.